All right, welcome to our fifth podcast, or SahdCast, I guess you could say. We have a treat for you guys today. I'm going to be talking to Allison Balmer and Michelle Matheson from Lancaster County Solid Waste Authority. Um, if it would be underselling it to tell you guys that they can do something with almost everything you have in your house, in industry, and everything. I mean, the wide array of programs they are involved in is very impressive. And we're going to talk about a lot of that. So that's what we'll be doing today. So stay tuned, and we'll be starting our podcast in a minute. Okay, welcome back. And Allison Vollmer, Michelle Matheson, hello.
Hello,
Hello.
Dan. Thanks for having us.
Oh my goodness. It's first of all, it's not Earth Day without you two. Lancaster County Solid Waste, we've been doing this for 16 years. You guys have been there from the get-go, involved with us and just co-partnering and surpassing us in a lot of ways, but really, really, we've appreciated that. So we couldn't do Earth Day without you, even if it's virtual.
Oh, well, I have to say, I really miss the in-person Earth Day event. I will say, we do a lot of events, and this is one of my favorite ones.
Oh, well, I love that. And Michelle, we've never had her in our scrapyard. So we are going to go on a cleaning spree to impress the recycling manager at Lancaster County Solid Waste.
Yes, well, we'll have to change that when we can be in person again.
Absolutely. Now we have a year to get ready for you. So I hope we can live up to it. But hey, so we have so much to discuss. And first, let's just talk about sort of the mission of Lancaster County Solid Waste Authority and what kind of organization you guys are. For those, I mean, everyone knows you're on Harrisburg Pike. They may not know the ins and outs. So just kind of take it free flowing and tell us a little bit about you guys.
So, our job is to manage all of the municipal solid waste and recycling for Lancaster County homes and businesses. Uh, when I say municipal solid waste, we're talking mostly like household type trash. We also have a facility up in Harrisburg, so we manage trash and for Dauphin County and the city of Harrisburg. But the cool thing that we do is that we are actually able to transform what you throw away into renewable energy. So nobody thinks twice about their trash. You put it at the curb, your garbage hauler comes and picks it up, and it's like magic, it's gone. But that's really the start of the journey for us. And your trash goes through quite a transformation from the time it gets picked up at the curb until we get it and transform it into electricity.
Wow. And as you said, it is like magic for most people. It just goes out and no one thinks about all of the process, all of the hands involved, all of now the equipment involved. I mean, you guys do a great job. Your website offers so much information and so many visuals on the whole process. It's really impressive. So just take us, so just following up on that, if you want to just sort of go into a little more detail on that whole process, would you say that is your most impactful program just because of the tonnage involved?
I would say, yeah, absolutely. I mean, and Michelle can chime in here. I would say people probably, when they think about us, they probably think about either this is the place where I come to take my TV to drop off because we have a household hazardous waste facility, or they think about recycling. I think the trash aspect kind of always gets lost. It's also not as sexy as like recycling.
Right, right. Exactly.
Yeah, and
Exactly.
as Allison alluded to earlier, we're not the ones picking it up at your curbside. So you might not realize that we're actually managing all of that trash and how it is properly disposed for the whole county.
Absolutely. So that is a good point. So we have how many, are there about 100 haulers that are licensed? I mean, just a guess. Any clue? I mean, it's amazing because yes, you're right. The visual and where we pay our bills are to the individual. So we're not even, as a consumer, not even thinking of you guys. But it all comes there. Any kind of idea on the numbers? Like how much comes to you guys?
So last year we were very close to 1 million tons
Okay.
delivered. So um, according to the EPA, each of us makes about 4.5 pounds of trash um, a day, which is
Okay.
insane when you think about
Right.
it. But think about food scraps, packaging, all sorts of things like that. And Lancaster County is a very populous place. Um, so yeah, that's a lot of trash. And it's
Oh,
our job to manage that in a way that's environmentally safe and responsible. And there is a lot that goes into that behind the scenes.
so just dumb this down because it can get so confusing and lost in numbers. Um, you said 100 million tons or a
1 million tons.
million tons,
Oh man, that'd be crazy.
right? Yeah, we wouldn't have time for a podcast.
Oh my.
So 1 million tons, that's the amount that gets turned into energy. And is there like how much of that is lost? How much is viable energy? I know it's again, it's very hard. And your website has so many amazing stats. We're going to encourage, and we're going to have show links on here and encourage our listeners to look up some of these links. But just some, if you could give some facts on what it does.
Absolutely. So we kind of think of it in three different pieces. We think of, trash that can be combusted to make electricity. We think about waste that can't be combusted that has to go to the landfill. And then we think about recycling. So, Michelle, actually, you probably have the latest number on what our recycling rate was.
Yeah, I do. So for last year, for 2020, our recycling rate in Lancaster County was 43.5%. So on the whole, Lancaster County does a really great job at recycling. Nationally, the average is, I don't know the exact number, but it's like 26 or so percent.
Oh, wow. Good.
26 to 30%. So people in Lancaster County are good at recycling in that sense. We're good at managing, not just throwing things away that could have another use as recycling. And that also includes things like, when you're putting your leaves out to be composted, when the leaves fall off the trees, that also counts as part of recycling. So as Allison said, that's the breakdown of what goes to recycling. There's a small percentage that goes to landfill, and then the rest is able to be combusted at our waste to energy facility.
Excellent. 43% is a great number. And I love the perspective you gave of mid-20s kind of nationally. That is good. And it struck me, you guys, when you go to your conferences and are among the experts around the country, like who are the leaders? Like we must be pretty impressive compared, I'm sure. But like who is there a certain region that kind of leads this? Or is it kind of just scattered everywhere?
I mean, I would say in terms of, like recycling and composting, the West Coast is, above and beyond what we're doing here on the East Coast. When you think about cities in California, or you think about like Seattle, they're doing like curbside composting and all sorts of different things. And I think one of the things that's so confusing and complicated about recycling in the United States is that it's different everywhere you go. So not only is it different on the East Coast versus the West Coast, it's different in Lancaster County versus Dauphin County, Berks County. Like it's just everything is very different. And Michelle, I'm sure, can speak more to that.
Yeah, it's really hard because especially in the 21st century, and young people, they move around a lot. They don't stay in one city their entire lives, maybe like their parents did. And so when they're moving across the country or just even to different communities, it can feel really discouraging when the recycling rules are changing every single time and it's hard to remember, or you feel bad because you can't recycle something you used to be able to recycle in your previous community. So that is hard, and that means there's a big job for especially Allison and our communications team as far as educating residents on what it means to recycle right in Lancaster County.
Oh, absolutely. If I see one more neck, jug, or whatever, I don't know who to blame for that one. Whose brainchild was that one? Or did that stay within, or did we find a consultant for the neck and the all that? I love that. It's simple though, right?
I mean, I think that was, I'm glad that you say that.
See, I keep it real.
Yeah, it's, we tried to simplify as much as we could, the big four items. And like Michelle said, it's still really hard because, it's been probably 3 years, maybe 4, since we kind of switched up what we accept curbside here in Lancaster County. And, people still are, just kind of being introduced to that messaging. And it's hard because there are certain things that we used to be able to put in the bin that we don't anymore. So, I definitely can see how people get confused and then sometimes, frustrated about what can go in the bin and what can't. But it's really important to recycle right, especially in terms of keeping contamination out of the bin.
Absolutely, because I guess and I was living in New York at a time when there was a big PR scandal from a recycling point of view, that they would take the recycling and then it would all go to the same place and everyone would be like, that's not good. And it is deflating when that happens and you're making all these efforts and you're trying to do it. But the flip side is everyone has to think about the cost. So whether we do commingled and everything gets picked up at one point, or we sort and you bring a truck by 7 times. I mean, obviously finances are always at the end of the day what have to be taken into account. And it is what it is. So we always have to do our best knowing that. And I think people hearing those things need to have patience and consideration for the efforts that are being done. And that's why things switch so much. When the price of gas doubles, you can't go out and send a truck around 3 times, right? I mean, pretty clear.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, it's hard because, like you said, these changes, first of all, it takes a lot of time and effort, and when we're posting on social and things, people are like, well, I don't understand why we can't do this here. I understand why, we're not doing, we should be doing curbside composting. We should be doing all of these things, which, yes, in a perfect world, that would be wonderful. But you're not thinking about infrastructure. You're not thinking about everything that needs to be in place for these programs to work. Even down to the fact that we have single stream recycling, so you're not sorting everything out. It completely changes, what items you can put in your bin. So there's just a lot of logistical things. It's not just, let me just throw this in here. There's a lot behind, why you can and cannot do things.
Absolutely. Everything you guys tell me leads me down another path and I get further away from what I was supposed to ask. So I'm rolling with this. You just mentioned single stream so bringing the onus on the sorting to within your facility instead of on the consumer and the hauler, really pretty much streamlining and saying, we're going to take all the things and we're going to sort it. I'm not as familiar with their system as I should be. Have you invested in the technology to make that a non-human function or assisted human, or at this point, is it all human sorting?
Michelle, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, so the actual sorting of the single stream recycling is the only piece that LCSWMA does not manage directly.
Okay.
So we use a private facility nearby that they have the technology, and it is both human and robotic. So, they have really sophisticated technology. They have a couple what are called optical sorters that are able to look at the material and color, and it's really fascinating the way that it works. But there's also, human pickers on the line that are picking out those materials that either don't belong, or sorting the extra large materials that won't go through the conveyor system correctly. So it's definitely a combination. It requires, significant financial investment in upgrading. I mean, every conference I go to, there's always some technology robotic company talking about their latest and greatest machinery or programming that makes their sorters even better than the previous generation. So it's constantly evolving, but the goal, with so many communities around the country being single stream, that's the direction they've gone. The investment in this technology is really needed to get a quality product that then will go to manufacturers, buying that recycled commodity.
Absolutely, because it has to be clean. It has to be clean ultimately. We know that on our end.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I think people forget that they forget what the recycling loop looks like, so the end goal is that you're able to make something from the recycled material. So I think that sometimes gets a little bit lost. It's like, oh, we should recycle. Well, why should we recycle? When you think about that, you think about the things that maybe don't make sense to go in your bin, because what is going to be created from that material. One of the things that we're dealing with right now is a lot of contamination in our recycling drop-off.
Okay.
So we have recycling drop-off facilities at each of our Lancaster facilities that are open 24/7. It's free for residents to bring any of the big form material to us. And we're finding that, people are using it more as a dumping ground.
Yeah.
Which is just, first of all, illegal dumping is, a crime.
Right.
And second of all, when you put things in the bin that don't belong, you're contaminating the rest of the recycling stream. So all of the things, people before you could have been using this drop off, for instance, correctly. And then you come up and put in leaves, toys, chairs, furniture, whatever that doesn't belong. And then the entire load is trash. So you've completely just lost all of that recyclable material.
Right. And there'll be and when you guys have to close that down, it has to be, because yes, you've then turned all of that into useless, because we don't all have optical sorters sitting next to us, do we?
Right.
That is such a good point, because everything to be viable in this world, you have to present a clean product. So in our scrapyard, same as yours. I mean, we have to be with the customer every time something gets unloaded, and then we sort from there. When we have bins come in from our customers, they get dumped out, and we have to sort for cleanliness, dangerous things that are in there. I mean, we're doing that constantly. So I can understand where self-serve would be a real challenge. And you're really depending on everyone's cooperation.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and And even in the where they're sorting the recycling, it's called a materials recovery facility, or a MRF,
Mhm.
but it's also a safety hazard if you're putting in, hoses or these like large, they've even had like large trunks of because there's the machinery, it can jam up their machinery. And then they have to shut everything down and have a worker go in and manually cut things out. And so not only does it slow down the process, but someone could get hurt in that.
Absolutely. And enough of those stoppages and you guys don't become a viable consumer to you're not a vendor that they want to use. And then what? So we have to be very careful about that. That's a great point. I'm gonna kind of shift gears a little and I'm gonna challenge you. Tell me one thing in your room or your house right now. If you look around, this is like I see something.
Oh my, okay.
Find one thing that cannot be brought to your facility.
Oh my,
Uh-huh. Whether it's recycled or this I think might highlight what a treasure we have at your place. So go ahead, tell me, find one thing
one thing that cannot be
brought to you under any circumstances, like maybe candle wax. That's a very aromatic candle there.
Oh my, Dan, you're like, I know, I'm looking around and
Pretty much.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time.
yeah, almost anything.
I think the residents need to understand. I mean, that my Uncle Tom worked at your recycling drop off, and what the service provided in that little bay window is amazing. So take us through. Take us through. Okay, so first, you couldn't find anything in your room. Tell us. There probably are a few things like maybe uranium or something that you can't take. Tell us the things you can't take, because that's a much easier way to narrow down. And then let's talk about that facility.
So we do not take large amounts of medical waste. So
Okay.
I'll
keep mine to the side.
Yeah, you keep yours to the side. A lot of people think that you can kind of bring anything, and there are very strict regulations that we have to follow. So, like we're not getting hospital waste or anything like that. We also can't take any like certain hazardous chemical waste. So I'm thinking, for instance, each truck that comes into our facility, they pass through radiation detection monitoring equipment before they can dump. And if that detection system goes off, that entire load has to be pulled aside. We have handheld scanners that our environmental team go out and they actually have to go around the truck. And if it's, above a certain percentage, DEP has to come out and go through the load. So, there's certain, chemical things that we can't, take either. But Michelle, what else am I missing? That's
I stumped you.
I mean,
those are the ones that come to mind for me, because most of the time, the things in a normal household we can take. It's really when you're getting into a particular industry or business that has large amounts of certain chemicals or solvents or something else, they're mostly going to deal directly with a hazardous waste management company or something else and not take it to us. Like Allison mentioned, the hospital waste, they're going to contract that separately and not expect to bring a whole hospital's waste through our transfer station. So yeah, but that's, as far as a household, there's not many things that we don't take.
It is impressive. I mean, because you're my go-to when I get the calls and I'm like, wow, I can't go there. Harrisburg Pike. I should just record it. But so someone's garage, let's take cleaning out your garage. fertilizers, excess plant, anything, excess oil jugs, excess everything, right? Paint, excess,
Yeah.
everything.
We take all of those things, and our household hazardous waste facility, like I mentioned before, the place that takes TVs, which is what people generally.
That's the biggest. The biggest. Yeah.
That is a really special facility. It's the only permanent facility of its kind in Pennsylvania. So
wait a second. Whoa. So Lancaster County we're the only one that have that?
A permanent drive-through facility like that, yes.
That's awesome.
So normally
people need to know that.
Yeah. I mean, normally, maybe there's one day a year that, there's a contract that goes out that you can put your, hazardous waste out and it'll be picked up, or, there's collection events throughout the year. But we're really lucky in our community that this facility is open 5.5 days a week. And it's free for Lancaster County residents to get rid of, like you said, paint, motor oil, chemicals, good Lord, batteries, electronics, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, I didn't realize we were the only one in the state that had a permanent thing. And the permanence is what makes it so usable. So we talked before about challenges to getting the rates so high. No wonder we're at 43%, because you've invested in something permanent and expected. So it becomes routine. You have to establish routine in recycling. So if everyone knows they can go there and they have these experiences where they've never been turned away by anything, it's like you almost want to bring something like some mercury. I just want to find something to stun someone, but it's like, yep. I've never heard a no. And that is from the point of view of a customer, it makes it so easy as a resident that it should be hard not to do this.
Yeah.
It's really, really an important thing for people to understand that this does not happen everywhere.
Absolutely. And especially in our community, the household hazardous waste facility is incredibly important because we do combust the majority of the waste. So, we want to get that material out of the waste stream before it goes to our waste to energy facility. We have so many, safeguards in place at that facility. It's essentially built for people to not follow the rules, but of course it runs better and it's easier to maintain. It's cheaper, to operate if people are following the rules. One big one being, please take your hazardous waste to this free drop off. Don't put it in the waste stream, because on the back end, there's a lot that has to go in to kind of mitigate if you're not getting rid of it up front.
Yes, absolutely. On that point, maybe I got overexcited, maybe not. Tell me the battery thing that I never knew about. You can put batteries by your trash?
I know, it's awesome.
When did that happen? Am I like years late and just waking up? Or is that new?
A little late.
Okay, fine. To me, it seemed like it just happened yesterday. So seriously, I don't think anyone knows that. Or maybe they do, but it's the neck and the jugs and all this. So tell me, you can just put that, as long as it's the bag. Tell us how.
Yeah, so the bag is the color of your shirt. It's bright orange.
I'm a Syracuse grad, so we always go with orange. When in doubt, it's orange, baby.
So just look for the orange bag. It's called a battery bag. You can get it, most municipal offices have it. You can get it at LCSWMA for free. You can also call into our facility and we will mail you some bags at no cost. You can put batteries and cell phones in bags. Okay. You put it next to your recycling, next to it, don't put it in your trash can, don't put it in your recycling bin, put it next to it. It's bright orange, so your hauler will see it. They pick it up, put it in the cab of their truck, and we have a drop off when they're coming over our scales at our sites that they can just drop the bag in.
Have you seen, I mean, it's hard to quantify, but have you seen, well, actually, maybe not. Have you seen an increase since you did it of cooperation by residents with battery recycling? Because I would imagine, I mean, if it's that easy, that's pretty easy.
So I think, like you said, a lot of people don't know that you can put it next to your bin. So generally, like, people are collecting batteries for a very long time, and then, eventually like, oh, I guess I gotta like drive this into Harrisburg Pike, which is fine, you can do that. But yeah, you can also just put it out next to your trash.
Yeah, and especially with them being the bags being available at municipal offices, you don't have to drive all the way to LCSWMA to pick them up. But yeah, it's certainly convenient for people, and haulers know that they can just put that in their cab, and when they're already there, it doesn't require an extra trip. So it's kind of a win-win for everyone.
Absolutely. Yeah. You guys, and you've learned you have to make it easy all the way around. Haulers, consumers, everyone has to have it easy. And if it is easy and consistent, it happens. That's excellent. So yeah, like I said, I might have been under a rock, but I congratulate you. Is that something done a lot of places across the country, or inconsistently maybe, but not like this?
Is that?
I am not sure if anywhere else has that. As Allison mentioned with the hazardous waste, this is also another thing that helps us with our waste to energy facility, getting those batteries out of the stream. So it's, makes sense for us to do this and make it as easy as possible, because we don't want, those in the regular trash if we can help it. So this was a solution that I don't even know when we started doing this. It's been a while now. But as far as people knowing that they can put it out beside their trash and don't have to drive it in, yeah, that's definitely, still people picking up on that.
Oh, absolutely.
It's okay, Dan. My husband
the
didn't
dumb
know.
one. I knew it was coming.
No, my husband.
You guys dressed that up so nicely. Even some people, who aren't as aware, are kind of just figuring that out now.
It's okay. Even people who live with people who work at the,
Oh, so spouses are getting called out. Is that what this is about?
Yeah, like, oh, I'm just gonna throw these batteries in the trash. And I'm like, no, you can't do that. You can't do that. Like, I cannot in good conscience sit here and watch you do that.
No.
So, like, hello, there's battery bag in the junk drawer. Like,
right.
Yeah, so you don't feel bad. Even like
we'll handle all your personal issues after the Zoom call, Alice. So that Michelle, you touched on something that I think people don't really understand, the actual danger of batteries catching on fire. And as we this is going to segue into the future, as we move towards the investment we're making in new energy and alternative solutions, the batteries can explode, right?
Yeah, certainly some can. And that's, you have a multi-million-dollar facility that can be taken down by a careless battery that's thrown away. That's a huge risk. So trying to mitigate that as much as possible. And like Allison said, it's built in a way that has a ton of safeguards in place. But you always have to prepare.
How do you get them out of your stream? Like, there have to be some that escape, or it's just like it's minimized.
Yeah. So like Michelle said, there are safeguards in place. So I guess I should kind of back up. So at the waste to energy facility, the way that it works is we take in household garbage. We have 3 boilers that we burn the garbage in.
Okay.
Within each of those boilers, there are tubes of water. So as the garbage is burning and it's getting hot, that water in those tubes turns to steam. The steam is piped to a turbine that's attached to a generator that spins, and that's how we create the electricity. So within those boilers,
By the way, I was told there'd be no science today. I
Just a little bit.
I was a communications major.
I hear you, Dan. Same. Like the fact that I
spit
can
that
talk
out
about
well.
it, it's like I never would have thought that either.
All right. Well, no, keep going. I'm sorry. I just wanted to, I was impressed by that.
Yes, kids. So science is important. You
Yes.
should pay attention in your science classes. But within those boilers, they can actually withstand a propane tank explosion.
Wow.
Now,
Okay.
please don't put your propane tank.
Right.
But it's built, like we said, to not follow the rules. But one of the biggest expenses that we have at that facility is pollution control. So what we do is there's a lime slurry that is sent through our pollution control system to help minimize acid gases, things that are created when you're burning like electronic material, batteries, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So the more of that material that is in the waste stream, the more of that lime slurry that you have to put in to kind of mitigate everything.
Understood.
So yes, we can handle that, but it's better for the whole system if if you can just, eliminate that at the start.
Absolutely. So did you kind of describe, I see zero loop everywhere. Zero loop is the LCSWMA website, mojo. Everything's zero looping. So explain zero loop, and maybe even in context with the Purdue project, which I was really, really impressed with. And how long you've been doing that, what that is, explain for everyone that whole thing.
No, there's a lot.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Zero loop. It just has a nice ring to it.
So when we talk about that, what we're talking about is actually water. So water is a huge component of the waste to energy process. Like I said, we need that water to create that steam. So what's actually really cool about our waste to energy facility, so we're located right along the Susquehanna River, but we do not discharge into the river and we don't take river water to use in our operations.
Okay.
Instead, what we do is we take wastewater from Elizabethtown Borough, we treat it on site through reverse osmosis, and then we are able to use that as our boiler water, which has to be very clean. After it goes through the process, we're able to actually put it through a cooling tower, which takes it from steam back to a liquid. It is then piped back into the system where it's treated again. And it's just, like we said, it goes into a loop.
Okay. Wow. So wastewater from E-Town.
Mm-hmm.
So is that hauled in or is it piped?
It's piped. There's a direct pipeline.
Wow. You guys, the amount of infrastructure that you have put in place in a lot of these projects is amazing.
To think, I mean, it's amazing. And when you think about the people who put these systems in place and how they were thinking so ahead of their time, and like, for instance, having that system isn't required, but it was that extra step. How can we make this better? If we can make it better, we're going to make it better. And the reason that we have this very sophisticated system of managing waste in Lancaster County is because the whole idea was that we have this beautiful farmland and we want to preserve it. How can we do that? And one of the big ways is that we're able to, combust the waste instead of, putting it in a landfill and taking up, this beautiful green space that we have here in Lancaster County.
Absolutely. Yeah, you guys, and you mentioned before your time, just like both of our organizations and really everyone in our industries. So the way I put it often is we're not doing anything differently. We've always done this, but now it's in style. And if you didn't have the base of doing it all along, you're playing catch up. your organization in particular. I mean, the breadth of projects that you guys have involving public-private partnerships, things that you mentioned with, the E-Town water coming through. I mean, it's just so much community cooperation. And I think it's just credit to your organization that you guys are constantly at the forefront, constantly coming up with new things, never satisfied, but always continuing to perfect.
Thank you. That's nice. That's
It's
very
true. I mean,
nice.
it's not a compliment. You look at your website, it's like, shut up. We got it. You do this, you do that. You guys are doing everything.
And it's funny because, it's like, when you're doing something well, people don't notice. But, if we were not doing a good job of managing trash, people would notice just like that.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah, and as an organization over the years, we've tried to be proactive rather than reactive in how we're managing things, and trying to think about those long-term plans of, not just what needs to happen next year, but in 10 years, in 15 years, and what decisions can we make today that help us reach those goals.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that's a good point, Michelle. I mean, in this industry, you have to, they're thinking 10, 15, 20 years ahead constantly. Well, what's the next thing? We got to plan for the next technology, the next whatever. What happens when, the landfill is full? What happens when we have to, replace boilers at the waste to energy facility? So it's very much a forward thinking industry. So you can't predict the future, but our people are definitely, trying to figure out, what's in that crystal ball.
Oh, absolutely. So I guess we would split it out, some other green initiatives you guys do. So why don't you just tell us about, solar, wind, tell us about all the things. All right, brag some more, but tell us about all the things you're doing. No, seriously, just to give people a comprehensive overview of what's happening in their county. When they hear all these infrastructure plans and we're going to get to X% by then, it sounds unreachable, but let's explain what you guys are doing here.
So we have a number of green projects. We have at our transfer station complex, we have solar panels that provide 80% of our annual electric needs. So, which is amazing. We also have natural gas fueling stations at our transfer station complex. So we have a fleet of transfer trucks and trailers. So the way that it works is the majority of haulers in the county come to our transfer station on Harrisburg Pike to dump their waste. And then we actually transport it to either our waste to energy facility, to the landfill, or to the recycling center. So depending on the material type. So we have a fleet of tractor trailers that run on compressed natural gas instead of diesel fuel. CNG is a lot cleaner. It's a lot quieter. And our trucks are able to fuel overnight. And then our guys drive about 200 to 300 miles round trip every day. And they don't have to fill up. That they're able to run on one,
Wow.
I don't want to say tank because I don't know, there are two tanks, I don't know, but like one fill up from the CNG station.
Okay, excellent. Can I ask on panels, how long have you guys had the panels?
Since 2012.
Okay, so we have a 33 kilowatt system at our facility, nowhere near what you guys have, but is the technology getting better and better and better? Because we've had ours for about, I think, 12 years. And I always hear fuel cells are next and X is next. Is there something that's making the panels more efficient or less space required? Or have you guys not seen much improvement in that?
Michelle, I'm going to give you this one.
Yeah. So the technology is definitely progressing and improving always. For solar, I imagine at some point, we'll look at if it needs an upgrade. But for right now, it's still, continuing to meet 80% of our electricity needs.
Mhm.
And I know a few years ago, I don't know if you know the exact year, Allison, we had also done an LED lighting upgrade at our transfer station facility. So that, helped us reduce our electric demand as well. And so that worked really nicely with the solar that was there. Because that's a big piece of just managing your electricity, is how can you reduce what you don't need and then cover the rest with renewable. So yeah, I mean, the technology is amazing for solar, and my previous work before LCSWMA was in that field. So it was
Oh,
always
okay.
fascinating to learn and look. I'd even seen a project where it was solar that was installed in a floating capacity, like on a pond. So
Mhm.
it's incredible what they can do.
Yeah, and I think we're gonna, to get us to the percentages, I believe, I could be wrong, I think I saw it's 2.3% right now of US contribution from solar. To get us to the bigger numbers, we're gonna need smaller, it's gonna be like the 700-pound TV that now is 20 pounds. And when it gets to there, that's when we're gonna be able to do it. But it's gonna need that, because you only have so much space on your roof, and it's going to take that, I think. But when it does, that's going to be huge.
Mhm. And battery storage technology is another one that works hand in hand with solar and has been continually progressing to get us there and help reach those goals.
Oh, absolutely. That it's going to take all of that to happen. Absolutely.
And I think what's really
But
interesting for, Michelle's talking about energy. Um, like we have somebody whose job is to, is Justin's title energy manager? Is that what it is, Michelle?
Yes. Yeah. Huh?
So like what, like a trash company, is,
right.
you know,
They,
has somebody who is, this is their job, which
does he go around and turn your lights off? Does he just go around the office and like hit everyone's light switches? And what does the energy manager do? No, he's probably constantly thinking of improvements, like you said. And that's again going back to the investment, continual improvement, commitment. And that's obvious. That's obvious. Who designed your website? Did you guys do that?
we did. And actually, it's funny you say that because we are in the process of updating our website now.
Well, I'll take your old one. Your website is awesome. So for anyone who hasn't been there, you got to get on. First of all, from the prospect of a person never being at your facility, the virtual tours, but just the directional stuff. We're actually doing a drone shoot tonight, and I said, I want that. The way you guys direct people through the place, it's like if you can see it before, it becomes less intimidating. It's awesome.
Absolutely. Oh, I'm so glad that you said that, Dan. And that's exciting that you guys are doing that too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think a huge thing is, yeah, intimidation, because yeah, you get to, especially Harrisburg Pike. I mean, it's
Right.
commercial traffic. You're like, I don't know, where am I supposed to
Yeah,
go?
you have to decide right away. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, which way?
Yeah, it's like the choose your own adventure story or something.
Yeah. Am I hazardous? It sounds so like, am I really hazardous? It's like, I don't know if I really go there because I'm not really hazardous. It's
Yeah.
like, you know,
Yeah. So, I mean, it's funny you say that, because I was just looking at actually analytics, and those directional videos they're the most popular videos on our website. And
but
I think it's because, yeah, if you can, get an idea of what you're going to expect before you come to the facility, you're so much more likely to come and follow through. So in this new website, we're also thinking through, how can we make this as easy as possible for people? Because like you said earlier, the easier you make it, the more likely people are going to follow through.
Absolutely. One thing I would say, and this sounds so dumb, but sometimes it's the dumb comments that like get you thinking, is the hazardous thing is so like, do I really qualify for hazardous if I'm bringing you paint? Seriously, because if you turn off there and you see that, you're like, I don't think I go there. So there you go. I gave you a free tip. You don't have to pay for that.
You must be like reading our minds, because we have been talking about like household hazardous waste sounds like exactly like I don't have that. I don't have hazardous stuff.
Scary.
But like how we've been, so maybe you have an idea for this. We're like, what else could we call it? And we've been kind of trying to think of, is there some other way to describe that material? Because we talk about it very freely, but like, somebody off the street isn't going to know, what that terminology is.
Yeah, I'm not thinking, and I think most people, maybe we think too highly of ourselves, but we don't think we have hazardous things. I know in our world, it is considered that, but it probably doesn't reach that level. If I bought it in a store, it's not hazardous,
Right.
even though it's paint. So some way of saying, hey, basically household recycling, just like from a directional point of view, it has actually it stopped me a few times. And I'm like, okay, do I go there? If my Uncle Tom wasn't there, I wouldn't know. I'm like, yeah, I'm going there, So yeah. So there you go. But your website is amazing. And I encourage people to go there to see all the projects that are going on around us and learn more information. Just to recap, when do you accept material?
So we are open Monday through Friday at the transfer station, 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. We're open Saturdays, 7 to 11.
Okay.
Our household hazardous waste facility is open from 7 to 4 Monday through Friday, and from 7 to 11 on Saturdays.
Excellent.
All the other facilities have similar hours, maybe a little bit different, but you can go onto our website and find that information. And our recycling drop-off, as we mentioned earlier, is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Beautiful. What's coming down the pike? No inside secrets, but just thinking long term that you can even say, like, what's on the radar? Is it, how do we get those darn windmill wings recycled? Or how do we, what's out there? Or is it just everything that everyone reads every day?
Well, for us specifically here in Lancaster County, what we're working through right now is our waste to energy facilities are aging. So what is the next step in terms of, upgrades? The county is growing. So do we need to put in, we have 3 boilers at waste to energy. Do we need to plan for a 4th boiler for capacity? So we're really thinking through that, and continuously thinking, what's the next step with our Fry Farm landfill? Again, it's a very small portion, anywhere between 4 to 6% on a yearly basis that goes to that facility. Again, that's material that we cannot combust.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people think, oh, well, why do we even have a landfill? Like, we shouldn't have a landfill. And unfortunately, there are still materials that you just, there is not a better way to dispose of them. So we manage that facility in a very, aggressive manner, to the point where our landfill is the only municipal landfill in the state of Pennsylvania that has not had a DEP violation in 26 or 27 years.
Excellent. And very important considering the location.
Correct. Right. I mean, and in terms of what's on the horizon, you mentioned our virtual tours, which, we're super excited about. We have our transfer station and the waste to energy facility. And this year we're going to be doing a tour of our Harrisburg location and also of the landfill. So I would encourage people to, get on, explore those virtual tours, because the information is just It's crazy when you really think about it, and you actually sit down and hear the process. And there are so many talented individuals in our organization that make all of these things possible.
I agree. Like it's a lot of it you think is futuristic, but it's already kind of been done. Maybe it gets enhanced, but you guys are already at the forefront of a lot of this, which is comforting, you know, to know then you can project, hey, we'll be at the forefront of the next revolution, whatever that is that we don't even know about right now.
Yeah. I mean, we like to say that, everybody's lives are busy. You don't have to worry about what happens to your trash because we got it, you know.
Right.
We're taking care of it. But one thing I think, before we leave is to talk about like what you as a resident can do.
Yep.
Because I think this all sounds sometimes so big and like, okay, well, like what impact can I make as one person? And sometimes it feels like it's like, well, I don't know what I could do. And there are really a lot of things that you can do that make a positive impact.
Absolutely. Starting with the big four. Want to rehash them again? Go ahead.
Go ahead, Michelle. I'll give you recycling.
Yeah, so the big four, that is what is accepted in Lancaster County's curbside recycling program. So that's one is corrugated cardboard. So when we say corrugated, that has like the fluted or the wavy sheet in between. So not like a cereal box, that's not considered corrugated, but anything else, all your Amazon boxes, or I'm sure everybody has increased their amount of online shopping and direct to home kind of purchases. So all of those boxes are recyclable. Just break them down so they fit a little bit easier. But then number two is metal food and beverage containers. That one's pretty standard. That one's been a key recyclable for decades. And it still remains highly recyclable. The third is glass, bottles and jars. And then the fourth is plastic bottles and jugs with a neck.
Now is my neck your neck? See, here we go with the neck. How are we defining a neck?
So
I'm sorry,
yeah,
I have fun with this one.
no. So all a neck means is just that the base is wider than the top. So
Okay, I can handle that.
Yeah, nothing fancy, but the real intent of this is to stick to a visual and something easy to remember. We don't want people getting caught up on the numbers that are on their plastic container, because that doesn't really tell you if it's recyclable. It just tells you the base material that was used to make it. So it's not even consistent even within the same number whether or not it's recyclable. So stick to the shape and that will tell you way better if it's recyclable. So only those four items though, nothing else should be going in your recycling. Allison mentioned contamination earlier, and that comes from a lot of, what people in the industry call wish cycling. I wish this was recyclable, so I'll put it in my recycling bin. So don't do that. It's actually much better to be put in your trash, especially in Lancaster County, because then it's being, instead of contaminating good recycling, it's being used to create energy and electricity that powers homes in the area. So
when in doubt, throw it out.
Yeah.
No, there.
When in doubt, throw it out.
Now you're flipping us the other way, you guys. No, it's because you've made innovation that you're able to make these changes and come up with something efficient. That's where the credit is. I would encourage all of our viewers, listeners, to look on the FAQ section. There's tons of answers to every question except what they don't accept, which I'm going to come up with a nice list of items to see if I can stump the household hazardous section. But hey, we want to thank you today. Your time, you guys have made this so enjoyable. You've put up with my nonsense and you guys have been so informative. Thanks for all the work you do. And thanks to everyone at your organization for the innovation. That's what's going to set us as a county and the businesses in the county and the people ahead. going forward, because there's such an emphasis on this now, and it's only going to grow. So happy Earth Day. I believe you guys, who's running the Earth Day podcast with Penn Waste? I think I need to be involved in this. Who's involved there?
So that was my brainchild.
We didn't even talk about promoting this. I'm just rolling. I'm still fixated on the battery bag, so I'm months behind.
We're gonna send like a huge
Send me battery
house.
I want millions of batteries.
Yeah, send this man like a ton of battery bags.
It's because my wife is obsessed with every smoke and the stupid carbon monoxide. They're the ones that go off first, always. And I'm searching around, where's the noise coming from? Right. So that's why we have so many.
But yeah, our Earth Day event with Penn Waste. So because of COVID, we obviously can't do
You can't do the better Earth Day events with the better people. So
that's right. That's right.
You had to go with a backup plan.
That's right. Absolutely. So, you know, like we said before, everybody's kind of foray into learning about what we do as recycling, because that's obviously the thing that's most recognizable and understandable as a resident. So we're going to be talking about, it's called Everything You Don't Know About Recycling. So we're going to address why you can't put things in the bin, what types of items we accept, what the process is. Penn Waste actually is going to send in and do some live video from their MRF, their materials recovery facility, so people can actually see the process.
Cool.
And I would also encourage people to go to Penn Waste's website, because they have a really cool video on how their MRF works. And like Michelle was saying, with the optical sorters, and they have video of that, which is really cool.
And we'll put the link to both of those in the show notes as well.
Oh, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so if you sign up, participate, and then do our short survey, you can be entered to win a super cool prize pack that is worth over $200.
Wow. Does it include the beach picture behind, or is that an auction only item?
That's an auction only item.
I see. I see. Well, hey, we look forward to that on Earth Day. So I think it's 7:00 mentally.
Yeah.
Awesome. We have a can contest. Guess the number of cans in the can for $50. We're not at 200. We're not big time yet, but so we're going to do that. And then we're going to drive people right to that podcast. So
Awesome.
Again, wow. Michelle, Allison, thank you so much for your time. This has been very, very enjoyable. So maybe not for you, but for me it has. So
no, this is great, Dan. Thank you for all that you do for the community and for championing, green education and awareness. This is awesome. And we can't wait till we can come back and be at your event in person.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. The lifetime contract renews next year. So you guys are on it. Well, thanks again. Have a great day, guys.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you so much, Dan.
Take care. And we'll be signing off from the podcast. More information, all the websites and links we mentioned are going to be bottom in the show notes. Thanks for listening to another SahdCast. Have a great day.